Hello, hello. Ooh, black shirts and beards don't mix well. Hey, hello. Do I sound nasally? Do I sound sick? I'm sick. And I've been getting held back by a bunch of reasons in making videos. Can't hear myself talking, it's very annoying. Because of perfectionism, wanting to do things perfectly and not feeling like I can do them perfectly, because that's what's wrong with me, I guess. And a lot of things have been coming in the way of making new videos and this and that. And today I decided to say, fuck that. I'm going to just set up a very basic, well, I mean, it's not basic, but I'm just going to set up a minimal thing. I'm not going to clean anything up. I'm just going to sit down and record a video and make something for you guys, because I love making videos and I hate the feeling that I'm not doing enough to give to my social channels. I know that sounds bad, but I do get a lot of enjoyment out of creating and then giving that to you guys, and I haven't been doing that lately, or at least not in the right way for me. So today we're talking about, this is the dumbest intro I've ever done, maybe the most honest intro I've ever done, who knows. Today we're talking about hyperlapse photography, how to compare the pros and cons of shooting it manually like this versus shooting it on a miniature gimbal like this. I was in Antwerp about 2 weeks ago, I think, for whatever reason. I was going to a festival in Amsterdam and I decided to go to Antwerp to see family and friends and have a good time because, yeah, living in Europe now. Update for a future video coming soon, I promise. Living in Europe makes it possible to just travel wherever you want for very little money, and that's very fun. And that's also, you know, half the reason I haven't been making too many videos is because I'm just jumping around cities every week, which is, honestly, it's been really fun. It's been fun. I've said fun like 1,000 times the last little bit. Anyways, I was in Antwerp, my hometown, where I discovered hyperlapse photography 7-8 years ago. I don't know how long ago. One of the first proper hyperlapse sequences that I shot was of this museum called the Mass Museum aan de Stroom. I shot it at night on a tripod, and it was the end of, at that time, one of my mini showreels of time-lapse photography. This is, again, ages ago when I was just starting out. I think about 8 years ago, probably. So I shot that, and I haven't reshot that shot since. And I had some time to spare because I was shooting for a TV show that is going to air in Belgium next year for my friend Alban, who's producing time-lapse content for them. And I was shooting some stuff for him, but only at night, so I had everything before the sunset time to spare. So I left early and decided to reshoot my very first hyperlapse shot on my DSLR, which is the camera I'm filming on now. Usually you shoot it. Usually I'm shooting on this, by the way, but again, I couldn't really be bothered doing stuff properly today. How I shoot a hyperlapse classically, you can either go to my website or my YouTube channel. There's a video right here. Wait, is it up? Yeah, it's always up there. It's always confusing where the video is. You can check out how I do it, but pretty much you take a photo, click, take a step, click, take a step, click. Keep the camera as level as possible and keep one element always in the exact same spot in your viewfinder or on your screen. Then import that sequence into Adobe After Effects or Premiere, apply the warp stabilizer, and bang! You go from this, straight out of camera, wobbly as heck, to this, smooth as. And then you can animate that and add some looping and zooming in and out, post it on Instagram, and people lose their minds over it. Honestly, I did well. Now, what are the pros and what are the cons of shooting a hyperlapse the classical, the manual way, the way I shoot 99% of all my hyperlapses? Pros and cons. First up, the pros. The pros are, you get an insane amount of resolution. Depending on the camera, you can shoot 100 megapixel per photo, which is huge. So your end result video will also be quite large in resolution. So that's a major benefit. Your dynamic range, because you're shooting raw photos, you have all that dynamic range to play with. You can change, you can go, you know, do a day to night shot and adjust the, I guess the keyframes in post to make sure that you have a smooth transition, day to night. That's another tutorial right here. Dynamic range, you only get that with raw photos. You can shoot it, I guess you can shoot it on a gimbal on a Red, but then what are you doing? You know, might as well do something else with your time and your money. What else is a pro of shooting a hyperlapse the manual way? Let me go back to my script. What did I write? Oh yeah, if you shoot on a tripod, you can shoot long exposures, has nice motion blur. Like I did at night, I had to extend my exposures because I was a poor hobbyist photographer at the time I shot it, and I only had f4 lenses and I think a 600D, so low light performance was abysmal. There was no way I could shoot that handheld, so I had to slap that on a tripod and just click, move the tripod, level again, click, move the tripod, level again. And with clicking, I mean clicking on a remote or on the self timer to not shake the camera when shooting, because that's one of the main issues you find when shooting on a tripod, is that your photos still get blurry because you're actually moving the camera as you're triggering it using the trigger button. Now, what are the cons of doing it that way? Obviously, it takes forever to shoot compared to just running around with a gimbal, because you have to step photo, and you want to do it properly, you line everything up properly. It just takes a while to produce that content. Not only does it take a while to shoot, it generates a lot of data that you then have to stabilize in post, and your post-production can take quite a while as well. When I started out as a commercial hyperlapse photographer years ago, whenever I was asked for a job, they asked me what would it cost. My quote was 1 day of shooting equals 2 to 2.5 to 3 days of stabilizing, because that's how long it took. Also, the warp stabilizer or the stabilizer plugins that you use at the time, they really weren't as good as they are now, and computers were slower as well. So it just took way longer to do that. And also my workflow wasn't as good at that time, but still. Now it's 1 to 1.5 to 2 days, depending on how much you're shooting. But still, definitely one of the big negatives of shooting a hyperlapse, the manual, the classical, whatever you want to call it, method, is the fact that it takes forever to stabilize in post. You just have a long post-production period. What else? Your shoulders hurt. If you're shooting it manually the way I do, even if you have these big arms and big shoulders like I do, it starts hurting after a while, and it can cramp up, and then it's bad for the next shot or the next few days, depending on how far you push yourself. The longest hyperlapse I've ever shot, I think, was at Tomorrowland, big EDM festival in Belgium, where I went from the main stage all the way around that arena, and then back to the front, and then all the way around. And I think that took about an hour in a festival crowd where everyone's on pills and drugs and booze and, you know, having an absolutely great time, but they're super annoying when you're running around with the camera, because they all think you're there to shoot them, because everyone thinks the world revolves around them, which it doesn't. And so they try and get in your shot and touch your lens or touch your camera, and that's just the worst. So that was, I think, my most challenging hyperlapse shot, as a little anecdote here for you guys, was that shot at Tomorrowland, which was, yeah, I don't ever want to do that again. But it was a cool shot, I guess. Another negative of shooting it the manual way is a lot of stuff can go wrong. If you mess up one of the photos, you have to reframe it or redo it, which again slows you down in post. It's just, it takes a while to shoot this method, and then it takes a while to edit, and a lot can go wrong, pretty much. Now let's talk about shooting on a gimbal. And the gimbal I shot on is, I've talked about it before. I got this from DJI to do some promos when I was in America, I think. This is the DJI Osmo, I want to say Pocket. Is it the mobile? No, it's the Osmo. I always forget this. Their naming thing isn't great. What is this called? Is it on here? The DJI Osmo Pocket, I think? Probably. The mobile. What's their action camera? Hold on. DJI Osmo Pocket, yeah. The DJI Osmo Pocket has time-lapse, hyperlapse modes, that's all fine, but I didn't shoot it that way. I spoke to Michael from London Viewpoints on Instagram. He gave me some advice. The best way to shoot hyperlapse with these things is just use the motion tracking and shoot in 4K video. Shoot a smooth shot where it locks onto a certain subject, which is incredibly easy to do. I'll show you. You literally just double tap the screen to lock onto something, and voila, active track is locked. When you do it with your phone, so you have your phone here, it's even easier to set it up and more accurate. And then you just walk along the trail or walk sideways of the subject, as you see that I did. I did this run twice to get two different clips, I guess. One I walked, the second one I ran, and boy am I impressed by how good this thing performed. Now obviously the pros are it's very easy, it's very low impact, low energy, low effort to shoot, but the negatives are that you don't have that big movement or change of time, because you're shooting it as video and you're just kind of walking as opposed to going very slowly, so a lot of clouds don't actually move that fast in your shot. Another negative is you're limited in resolution. Yes, this shoots 4K, but my camera, if I've got, I don't know what that new Fuji is, it shoots like 100 megapixel photos. I can do like a 16K video, or who knows, like stupid amounts of resolution is to be had there, not when you're shooting video. What else is the negative here? Again, guys, you're not watching this for the quality of the video, you're watching this for the honesty and the fact that I just need to make a video for my own mental health. Yeah, you don't have as much dynamic range because that's just the way video versus RAW works, unless you're shooting RAW video. Again, as I said, if you're shooting on a Red, I don't know what you're doing, but you know, good for you. Hope you're happy. Besides this gimbal, tracking a hyperlapse or a video shot on other gimbals can be challenging or annoying because you got to mount your phone on your camera and balance it and everything, and that's just a bit, I don't know, a bit crazy sometimes. Now I've been taking this Osmo Pocket with me pretty much everywhere I go because it is kind of like a mini cinematic tool, I guess. I love the way it automatically goes into that. Whatever, I can't think, I'm so sick. It's lightweight, it charges with USB-C, the same as my phone. I just bring it with me everywhere, and it's cool to shoot from planes and stuff. I shot a little thing for an Adobe campaign with it in Italy as well, that I'm not sure if I can share yet, because it hasn't been approved yet. But yeah, I shot some clouds with it, shot some motion control time lapses with it in Utah and Arizona. It's just a fun little thing. I've got an article about it if you want to buy it. Check out the link down below. Look, yeah, depending on how much time, energy, gear, and money you have, shooting a hyperlapse the normal way, manual, handheld, the way I've been doing it for years, can be the right course for you, or shooting it on a little gimbal can be the right course for you. It's up to you to decide. That's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to do today. I am working on a lot of stuff. I've got my boosted Rev, that sexy scooter that's standing over there. You would have seen it on my Instagram stories if you follow me there. I'm working on a piece about that. I want to talk about this new lighting situation. I want to talk about the fact that I'm living in London now, no longer in Australia. But that's, again, that's all for future videos. Thanks for the patience. Leave a comment. See you guys very soon. Bye. Hello, from the end screen here. Click some of these things, buy my ebooks, or don't, do what you want. If you don't want to spend money to learn, you can check out all of my free tutorials on YouTube and my website, or download my free ebook about the basics of time-lapse photography. All you gotta give me is your first name and your email address, and I collect your data and I start sending you my newsletter, which I promise isn't spam. It's actually quite fun. Check it out down below.